Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanye now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome aboard. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. We are into a new month, that is the month of April. It's the first day of April 2025. Many people in the world celebrate this day as a World Fool's Day, but we refuse to say that April 1st is a World Fool's Day. No. It's just the first day of a new month. That is the fourth month of this particular year. We are beginning a new cycle and a new quarter for the year. And of course, here in Uganda, we start off with a new story of Umeme handing over power officially to the government of Uganda. That starts today on the first day of April 2025. We're going to be seeing the company of Uganda, that is Uganda Electricity Generation and Distribution Company Limited. I don't know why it's limited, but it shall be at the helm of power supply and generation in this particular country. We bring you that and much more. I will be telling you what happened as we were handing over this particular, work of Umeme, and of course, what does it mean to Uganda's ecosystem. Remember, you can watch us on our social media platforms. That is at Digitalk TV on Facebook, but also on YouTube. We are always here every Monday to Friday. We start at 8 up to 10 a.m. having a conversation with Uganda. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. This morning, I'm privileged to be having a gentleman called Umeme Charles. We're going to be talking about the statistics and vital statistics in this country. How do we interpret them? And of course, what does that mean to you? We are talking about death. We're talking about birth rate in this country. And we're talking about everything. What does that mean to the planning of this country, but also generally to the future of Uganda? My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. But before I welcome our guest this morning, let me start off with some of the news stories that are continuing to trend in the country. Now, yesterday, Umeme handed over, every work or all things that are pertaining to electricity supply in this country. This comes at a time after the Umeme has been serving Ugandans for the last 20 years after they signed an agreement in 2005. Now, this gave Umeme the power to be able to supply everything, all electricity to all Ugandans. And they come up with what they called a Yaka meter, a new phenomenon where people just had to pay for Yaka, get unit numbers, and have them input in that particular device. So after 20 years, of serving Uganda, the government found it prudent that this time round the government itself monitors and works on everything power. So this is going to be done through a new company that is going to be serving Uganda, that is the Uganda Electricity and Distribution Company Limited. This entity will be the one to manage how power is distributed in this country. Umeme lives through the, in fact, I saw Bitatu Patrick, one of the, in fact, the board chair and the board member of Umeme, thanking and commending themselves, first of all, for a job well done. Vitatura says that they have been able to, first of all, increase the supply of power in Uganda, thereby increasing resources or money for themselves and, of course, for the country. Vitatura also says that they found Umeme at a time where corruption had infested that particular entity. In fact, he remarks and says that corruption was the topest, or the corruption in Umeme was one of the biggest in the country, bigger than any other agency. So he says from the time they were at the helm of this particular entity, they have been able to fight corruption, especially in Umeme. He also points out that by 2005, the Umeme board was mainly supported by what you may call foreign agents or foreigners, especially foreign experts from various parts of the world. Now, he says at the time that they are leaving, or that he is leaving the leadership of Umeme, he leaves it in safe hands, and he continues to say that this is something that he has been vital in fighting. He has been able to bring in Ugandan experts, Ugandan people to be serving at Umeme. So that is also another win that you can register for them. But also, there's also an issue of the efficiency of government, and especially from Ugandans. Ugandans think that, I think this time round government should do better, especially in ensuring efficiency of the electricity itself, but also the distribution and the work of the electricity companies in this country. So we hope that as government takes the helm of the leadership of distribution and power supply in the country, we hope that this will not be marred with some inefficiencies, as we have seen in the past with some of the government-run entities in that regard. So, as we speak today, it's the government of Uganda that is held responsible. In case you want to find out more about anything power, in case you want to tag, to request for help in any way, you will not be talking to Umeme, but you shall be talking directly to the government of Uganda. You're still watching the Mighty Drive show. We're still starting off with the Mighty Global Updates, where we give you news that is happening in Uganda and, of course, across the country. I'll talk about South Sudan simply. Recently, Dr. Riek Machar, who is the Vice President of South Sudan, wrote a letter to the United Nations, first of all, talking about the interventions that have been done by, various people, especially in South Sudan. He says that Yoweri Museveni has been pivotal in bringing about confusion, first of all, in that particular part of the region. So that is something that some people were talking about, highlighting the plight of South Sudan, especially in what is happening there. Remember, Uganda has its troops and forces on ground right there in South Sudan, and we shall be, talking about that much more later. But as we speak right now, the United Nations has already confirmed that it is not okay for the Ugandan government to continue having its troops in that particular part of the region. Remember, Uganda is not only in South Sudan. We are in Congo as we speak. We even had recently intensified battles there. We are in Equatorial Guinea as peacekeepers there. In fact, we are working as hired soldiers, our hired troops, to be working in Equatorial Guinea. We have our soldiers in Somalia on ground. So the question is Uganda starting to work as a militia or a hired mercenary, Uganda People's Defense Forces? Because if we are having various troops in various countries, what does this mean? I remember Yesterday, we had a request by government to be able, by the Ministry of Defense, to fund the operations in South Sudan. In fact, they requested for over 39.4 billion shillings. That's approximately around $12 million. And that is the money that is needed to make sure we continue with our operations in South Sudan. But many are asking, is this our war to fight? Is this our plight, or is this something that we need to be doing? Maybe we shall be talking about that. As I come to the end of the Mighty Global News Updates, allow me just go through some of the tabloids or some of the news platforms we have in this country to tell you some of the stories that you can find on various platforms. If you are to check the Daily Monitor, what they dubbed the bad paper by the president, there is a story here about Mr. Chari Nekameka, the owner of Nerika Farm. She's showing you how you can, use agriculture to better yourself. Then also how to pick up after dropping out of school. If you have dropped out of school, you can read through, because there are a couple of stories here. But of course, the head is Umeme hands over power. Peacefully. It's not something that you often find in this country, and what a kind of unique headline from the Daily Monitor. Then there is also Jinja Masese police station escapees rise to 15. There was an escape from prison recently, and of course this is not the first time we've had various breakouts, especially from Ugandan prisons. You remember in Moroto, the case of Moroto, where more than 50 prisoners were able to escape. I hope we are doing something about this. Then there is also a survey that was done in districts of Budaka, Kibuku, Palis and Butebo, showing out people who dropped out of school prior to their P7. And in this survey, we realized that 11,000 boys drop out of school in those districts before P7. Then, of course, 11,000 girls as well drop out of school, especially in those regions. Remember that many students who start their primary one exams do not get to complete their P7, and this is what they are talking about when we bring you these numbers. Then opposition vows to probe the 463 billion, that is the Umeme buyout. Remember, Umeme requested for $190 million as a buyout, but according to the Auditor General, this money was overly inflated. He says it shouldn't go above $118 million. So who had added in an influx of over $70 million? What does that mean, and who exactly is behind that particular buyout? And of course, what the question is, what is the buyout itself? Are we buying out the assets that belonged to Umeme? Because according to some of the reports that we are getting, Umeme did not even have assets. Umeme was not responsible for the distribution and generation. It was the midway between us, the consumers, and government itself. It was a middleman. So what are we buying out Umeme for? And also, there was in the past when one parliamentary committee requested for the owners of Umeme to come through and talk about some of the challenges here and there. We did not have any person come out officially as the owner of Umeme. So what also does that mean? Who are we paying out for? Is this actually a South African company as we are sat? Does it actually have South African ownership? That is something that we will be highlighting on. Then also we still highlight Shaka Sali. He's highlighted right here in the Daily Monitor as one of the veteran journalists of this country. I'll just end up with the New Vision that is a government tabloid, and we shall see what do they have in store for us this morning. Remember, I'll be talking about statistics, in fact, vital statistics in this country, and I have a gentleman in studios who will be telling you more about that. But before I even welcome him, the main topical headline in the New Vision is Umeme exit, government cuts power rates. Yes, so there is a plan that if government is actually behind the helm of electricity, it's going to stop being as expensive as it has been in the past. Then in Seoul, South Korea's Constitutional Court will issue its long-awaited ruling on President Yoon Suk-yeol impeachment on Friday. Remember, this president is being impeached from South Korea. You can read about that. Then Ugandan women craving their space in the oil and gas sector. How are they doing that? You can get yourself a copy of the New Vision this morning. Then we also have monkeypox cases that are continuing to soar in the country. We now have more than 4,000, that is 4,800 monkeypox cases. And of course, most of these cases are in districts of Mbarara, Wakiso, and Hoima district. Remember that this condition is highly infectious, and it is spread by sharing different body fuels and of course accessories that we use in our day-to-day lives. Maybe lastly, over 100 left homeless as fire destroys 22 houses in Umeme districts. These are some of the stories that we seldom listen or hear about in the media today. Those are some of the stories that you can find on the various platforms that is on our social media platforms. They are there, but you can also check New Vision and Daily Monitor. Grab yourself a copy of your daily newspaper. This morning, I'm privileged to have Charles Okowa Onyung Charles Okowa. Okay, we shall be talking. Okay, I think let's just hear in from our guest this morning, who is joining us in studio right here. You're most welcome, sir. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, sir. Today we are expecting to talk about statistics, vital statistics in this country. What is your comment? What should they expect?
Thank you very much for hosting us here. My name, once again, this morning is Robert Ofiti.
Yes, Ofiti.
I work with the Helps Uganda, which we know as Coalition for Health Promotion and Social Development.
Yes, sir.
We are 25 years old. I'm glad you are 5 years soon. And we are in this campaign of statistics. But who are we? We are a health organization. And our role is simply to see to it that as an NGO, nationally registered, we work with stakeholders to see to it that health and socio-economic resources are achieved by Ugandans through partnerships, through research, capacity building and advocacy.
Exactly. We are going to be hearing how you have been doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a short commercial break. You're still watching Digital TV. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. When we come back, I'll be starting with Mr. Ofiti, and we'll be talking about that and much more. Good morning.